Okay, we'll just be about 1 or 2 more minutes and we're going to start. Are those two on yet? No. What's going on? I said 5 minutes. Okay, council, I'm going to start the meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And before we start, I got a land acknowledgement. I just want to read, we acknowledge that this land is a traditional territory of Three Fires Confederacy of the First Nations, and that's comprised of Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi peoples. And of Huron-Wendat peoples, we value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and First Nations and to the original peoples of Turtle Island have been living and working on the island immoral. So struggle with a couple words there, but we're going to do that. This is going to be at every meeting throughout, I guess, the rest of the year. Would that be to the CAO rest of the year going forward? So, and that'll be up to council. So I think that we should do it. We acknowledge the Indigenous people, and it's a good thing to do. So at that point, I think we're going to stand for the national anthem. Thank you. At this point, I want to welcome the viewing audience and welcome council to our second meeting this afternoon. And I'll go right to Rob for a closed meeting report. Rob?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just reporting that back on Monday, June 14th at 4:30 p.m., council did meet in closed session to discuss personal matters about identifiable individuals, and they did so in closed session as permitted by Section 239 2B of the Municipal Act. Council accordingly at that meeting provided confidential information concerning that identifiable individual, and that's the extent of my report.
Thank you, Rob. At this point here, I'm going to ask, is there any conflict tonight amongst council members? Seeing none, I'll need a motion to adopt the published agenda. Before we do that, we'll go right to Rob before we.
Yes, thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Looking for council to consider adopting with the following amendments. Firstly, the procedural bylaw normally allows 4 delegates at a regular meeting, and so looking for council to adopt with the 5 delegations noted in the agenda. And then secondly, looking for council to consider or to advise of a notice of motion for presentment only from Councillor Bondy, and looking to add that as agenda item 17.2.2. Thirdly, also a notice of motion to be added, presentment only, from Councillor Verbeek, which will be presented in 17.2.3 as added to this evening's agenda. And lastly, to give presentment of a further notice of motion from Councillor Bondy, presentment only, and looking to add that as 17.2.4 to this evening's agenda.
Mover on the changes there and the adoption, please. Mover. Councillor Bowman and Councillor Verbeek, you're seconding that? Or you had a question on that?
I do, through you, Mr. Mayor. I believe the clerk wants us at this point, if we're going to request any of the correspondence to be pulled for receipt and support, to be named at this point. Am I correct?
Normally, once we get to that particular point in the agenda under a court, the mayor or the chair usually advises at that point whether there's any particular items that wish to be pulled over to receive and support.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So all in favor of the adoption, please. Carried. Thank you. Here we'll go to the adoption of the regular council meeting for June 7th. So I need a mover, Deputy Mayor Malash, and a seconder, Councillor Bjorkman. All in favor? That one's carried. Thank you. And at this point here, it's going to be my pleasure and council's pleasure to do a presentation to Mr. Ron Tout McDermott. It is my pleasure, Ron, to welcome and congratulate you, the 2021 Senior of the Year for the town of Essex. We all know Ron very, very well, and he goes by Tout, Ron Tout McDermott. Every year, the province of Ontario invites municipalities to nominate an outstanding senior in their community. This year, we were thrilled to present this award to Tout, who continues to show his dedication to the town of Essex. After a long career, 15 years on serving on council and as a mayor of our community, no one would blame Tout for wanting to take a break and enjoy retirement. And he's got lots of grandchildren, and I'm sure you are, Tout. Instead, he continues to provide his time for the community. He volunteers at the food bank, the Royal Canadian Legion, in Essex Center, and he's always quick to help out seniors in need. And I've seen this many times over with Tout. Tout truly has a town of Essex in his heart. And we like to thank him for his years of service and continued dedication to our community center. And once again, Tout, here's the award okay, here's a picture of the plaque you're going to receive. And once again, thank you so much for your dedication to the town. Out, if you'd like to say a couple words.
I would. You got me all choked up there. I'd much rather you're talking about other people than me. But anyways, thank you very much for this. I think I'm just one of hundreds in our municipality that deserve this award. You know, I normally put a name in for this and this and the year and everything, but I never saw anything in the newspaper, or you would have had a name before mine came up at the council meeting. But, you know, I'm just doing what the big guy upstairs says we're supposed to do. Help other people. You know, that's what it's all about. So thank you very much. And I'm going to receive this on behalf of the many people that could be sitting here getting this award. You know, so once again, thank you very much and stay healthy, everyone.
Oh, thank you for your service. And I've seen you in action a lot of times at the Legion. You jump in and help out wherever. So once again, thank you.
Yep. Thank you, guys and gals.
Andy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just also want to say my little share of congratulations, and you certainly left an impression on the community, Ron McDermott. And, you know, it's the little things that I see around town that I still think of your name. You know, I remember every time we had the tours down Main Street, you would be the oldest one there, and you were the first one there, always picking up garbage with the fellow counselors, you know, showing us how to keep the community clean. And, you know, the few times I saw you at the arena, you're walking around with your French fries, asking anybody if they want one. So you always, you know, had a lot of give left in you. And I saw you a couple days ago at the Essex Food Bank still giving away. So keep on doing what you're doing there, Tout. Thank you.
Councillor, for the words. Okay, at this point here, I guess, once again, thank you, Tout, and congratulations. So at this point here, we'll go on to our next delegation, and that's Mark Danilon, Chief Financial Officer for Elk Energy. So if you're there, Mark, the mic's open for you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank administration for inviting me tonight to provide a general overview of ELK's financial position as at December 31st, 2020. As the mayor indicated, my name is Mark Danilon, CFO and Director of Stakeholder Relations. For those of you who have not formally met or may not have been present at last year's meeting. Your worship and members of council, I'd like to take this opportunity to provide a quick refresher regarding ELK and its accounting methodology. ELK was incorporated pursuant to the Business Corporations Act of Ontario and is a successor company to the Hydroelectric Commission for the town of Essex, the Corporation of the Town of Lakeshore Hydroelectric Commission, and the Kingsville Hydroelectric Commission. Now, ELK continues to strive to provide electricity to our customers in a safe and efficient manner at a fair and reasonable cost. ELK's accounting procedures are currently in accordance with IFRS, and that stands for International Financial Reporting Standards. This is as opposed to fund accounting, which municipalities generally operate under. So from a financial perspective, our auditors, KPMG, have completed their audit, and overall 2020 was a very positive financial year. They have issued a clean audit opinion that the consolidated financial statements presented fairly in all material respects the position of the company. There were no misstatements identified during the audit as well. Another report that is presented by the auditors is what is called the audit findings report each year. Now, within the audit findings report, there were no control deficiencies reported and no further recommendations made during the audit. So I'll start by presenting these consolidated financial statements of ELK Energy. Just please note that this includes our subsidiary ELK Solutions, which is a very, very small component of the consolidated financial statements. So I'm not sure if you have it before you, or if it's being put on screen, but I'll start with the balance sheet of the consolidated statement of financial position. Perfect. So ELK has a very strong balance sheet. We have assets over $30 million and liabilities around 11.5 million, as well as you can see a strong cash position. ELK was also fortunate enough to repay an additional $5,000 of long-term debt this past year. If we can turn to the income statement, the statement of comprehensive income. From an income perspective, ELK's distribution revenue, as you can see under revenue, is approximately 3.7 million, which is very comparable to 2019. Just a point of note, the distribution revenue is the revenue that ELK keeps. The remaining revenue is a flow-through revenue. So after taking into account expenses, as well as regulatory assets and liabilities, which is required under IFRS, our net income is approximately 1.2 million as compared to the prior year of 800,000. If we can move to the statement of cash flows. So this simply is the statement of changes in equity, where the net income gets added each year to our retained earnings. So the next slide, a statement of cash flows. As you can see at the bottom, our cash and cash equivalents at the end of the year show a decrease in cash. Within this statement of cash flows shows the ins and the outs of cash. And KPMG made a particular mention to our audit committee, which I just want to make note is ELK's commitment to our investment in ELK's infrastructure. So although our cash did decrease, we're taking that money and reinvesting it into ELK Energy. Now the remaining pages are our financial statement notes. And again, these are very similar to prior years. There are no notes that are new or that require, I guess, further discussion. So the board of directors, as well as senior management, are very proud of the results of another successful year. And we appreciate all the hard work of our staff, team, and leadership at ELK. Prior to concluding, I just wanted to make mention of a few of the significant projects that are currently being undertaken or undertaken in the past year. These include projects such as Crawford Packaging, Jacana Phase 3 subdivision, as well as the Kingsville Medical Center. We're currently working right now on a new subdivision right here in the heart of Essex, as well as completing a lot of the work we did for Highway Number 3 expansion. So we've been very active with prior work as well as our current work. We're currently replacing transformers with new mini pad transformers, working on pole replacements, as well as continued underground asset rejuvenation. So again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank staff our customers for their continued support of ELK during these challenging times. There's been a lot of challenges this past year, as well as a lot of change, and we're all in this together. We want our customers to know that we're here for them. And I'd like to take this concluding remark that hopefully this presentation was very beneficial and presented the information to you to show a little bit clearer picture of ELK's stability into the future. Thank you for that's my report.
Thank you a lot for that report, Mark, and thank you for meeting with me today when I talked to you about employees and frontline workers, and I had a couple questions for you there, and you answered them. And yes, we're on top of any new recruits coming in, and we're going to have the staff to provide our services. So thanks a lot for that info today, Mark.
You're welcome.
I'll open it up to council. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for coming, Mr. Danilon, to council. I've followed this file, and I saw that when you went to Lakeshore in November and when you went to Kingsville in, I think maybe even November 2 of 2020. So I see the significant projects that are coming forward, but we're not hearing a lot of details about the renewal projects. And one of the questions that both councils had was in terms of an asset management plan, and I have that question as well, being, you know, a shareholder here and a representative of the shareholders. Is town council, not just the board, but is town council, the shareholders, going to get a copy of that asset management plan when it's done?
Thank you for the question. So currently, our board is kept up to speed on those developments. Tonight's meeting, it was solely focused on our financials. So that's what I prepared for and presented before you. Again, our board of directors is kept up to date on our projects, current projects, past projects, and that's, I believe, the appropriate manner which those type of details need to be addressed.
Okay, so further through that, yes, the audited financials, you know, they look pretty good. I see some spending on capital, which is good to see. I do have some questions that'll come up. The stretch factor, can you elaborate on what that means? Because it's above my head, but it was in the audited financial statements. What does a stretch factor mean?
So a stretch factor is essentially how efficient a utility is. And ELK has been in group 1 stretch factor this past year as well as previous years.
Okay, thank you. So my last comment then would be to the board of directors on ELK, and I believe Ron McDermott is here and he's the chair of ELK. So as a board of directors, and then as the shareholders, who are the rest of council and the representatives of the town administration and the taxpayers, we will never know about an asset management plan because the ELK board meetings are closed. So we can never provide that reassurance to our public. So that's something that I think needs to change, right? We need to be able, as shareholders, we need to be able to go back to our public and say, the asset management is on par with other utilities. And that's something that I'm hoping the board of directors has a discussion about and brings it back to the Town of Essex Council, who are representatives of the shareholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Maybe Councillor Bondi, you can direct that to the chair, and the chair can bring that forward to the board. So thank you. And once again, thank you, Mark, for the presentation. And we are financially in great shape of the corporation. And it's nice to see that we had a good year. And I hope we continue to have good years. So at this point here, I'm going to ask for a motion as soon as we get on the screen here. Just give me a second. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, hold on. Any other questions from council? Councillor, anybody else from council? Seeing none. I didn't see any. So I'm going to need a motion to accept the presentation, please. Yep, go ahead.
Just in the stated motion there, to receive the presentation
Yep,
and looking
receive.
for council support for the annual share.
Have a motion, please, on that. Councillor Van Dolen and a seconder, Councillor Guerin. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 8.3 on this evening's agenda under public is Mr. Gord Orr, Chief Executive Officer, Lynette Bain, Vice President, Destination Development, and Jason Toner, Director of Marketing and Communications, all from the Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island. And they're here tonight to present their regional tourism video plans for 2021 and the 21-22 official.
All set?
Yes. Good evening, Your Worship. Thank you very much, Mayor Snively, members of Essex Town Council. If I may give a shout out to former Mayor Ron McDermott. Congratulations on your award, Ron. Well done. Tonight, I'm here with Lynette Bain, my Vice President of Destination Development, Jason Toner, our Director of Marketing Communications. We're here with our latest edition of our visitor guide and a brief PowerPoint and video presentation for you as well. And we'll also share our areas of focus for 2021. This is the 7th of 9 council meetings that we're doing this month. June is Tourism Month. And we do this for a couple of reasons. First, it was part of our commitment to you, to make sure our elected officials are better informed about the work of our organization and our activities during the pandemic and going forward. And secondly, we wanted to provide you an opportunity in a forum such as this to ask any questions that you may have of us. Before we start the PowerPoint, I don't have to remind council that the tourism and hospitality industry was hit first, hit the hardest, and will take the longest to recover. The losses and sacrifices businesses have endured and experienced are real, and they are heartbreaking. But there are better days ahead as the vaccine rollout continues to give those much needed shots in the arms, and the province's 3-step roadmap to recovery continues and unfolds. We're becoming more relieved and more hopeful. I've said it a number of times that we can hope for better days ahead, but we have to plan for better days ahead so those days are more hopeful. That is what we've been doing at Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island, planning in concert with our tourism stakeholders so we're ready to go as the provincial framework for reopening allows. Our mission: we are the leading tourism industry collaborative committed to enhancing the region's economy and quality of life. Our core functions there are supporting industry development and the operators, facilitating partner engagement, and marketing our destination. Our organization was just awarded official designation through Destinations International, called Destination Marketing Accreditation Program, also known as DMAP. And Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island is complying with the highest and best standards of destination marketing and management, meeting the industry standard for performance and accountability of destination marketing organizations from around the world. And as part of DMAP, we are now part of an elite group of 225 DMOs globally that have met the rigorous standards for industry accreditation. In Canada, there are 19 DMOs across the country, and with Windsor Essex, Tourism Windsor Essex being one of only 4 in the province of Ontario. There you can see our organizational chart, a team of 9, and there you can see our organizational governance. We are an 11-member board, a mix of politicians and stakeholders, and you can see that the County of Essex is represented by Mayor Santos, who's our chair, and of course the Mayor of Kingsville, and County Council is also ably represented by directors, Deputy Mayor Krista Malash, and of course Warden Gary McNamara. You know, when we look back at the last 15 months, we have to recognize what we did accomplish together within the United Visitor industry, because the resiliency of our industry has nothing been short of a miracle. Our organization shifted focus immediately at the onset of the pandemic, and we paused all marketing, becoming an all-important information resource hub for the industry we serve. By providing ongoing, timely information for our COVID hub, it has and still is a critical resource for our stakeholders. Another key facet in 2020 was to pivot our marketing to align with the direction of our tourism partners, and this led us to embrace our communities and businesses with our Takeout Tuesday, our patio dining guide, hashtag Wine Order Wednesday, our winery delivery guide, and Fill Up Friday, our brewery delivery guide. The last item from 2020 that I'd like to focus in on is when at a time when we needed it the most, we kept positivity at the forefront through our YQG Stand Strong social media campaign. This campaign was critical in helping cultivate a sense of community pride and place and promoting good news stories and photos during some of our darkest days. And that pride continued as we unveiled our 6th annual Best of Windsor Essex Awards, a social media campaign designed to have locals help tell us and identify their favorites, knowing that where locals like to go, so will the visitors. And this campaign continues to grow and saw an 11% increase year over year in votes. Our 2021 Destination Development and Marketing Plan is available on our partner portal, and it continues to address initiatives to showcase our areas of focus. Of course, outdoor adventure, food and drink, entertainment, and arts and culture. At this point in time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Lynette Bain, our Vice President of Destination Development. Lynette, please.
Thank you, Gordon. New and enhanced product and program development initiatives we have been working on to grow the capacity of the tourism industry and our stakeholders include a new digital tasting pass for the Epic Wine Growers Association, a new Barrels, Bottles, and Brews digital flight log, and an enhanced We Made It program that aligns our We Made It partners with our special occasion guides, encouraging more sales opportunities. One of our latest initiatives is the Nona's Shopping List and Windsor Pizza Club. Each of these programs bring together small business operators to celebrate the Italian culture, food, and traditions in Windsor. The Pizza Club is designed to embrace the heritage and uniqueness of Windsor-style pizza and in turn encourages local and visitors alike to visit the 8 participating partners. The unique Nona's Shopping List highlights Nona-approved food, beverages, and retail selections all through a digital pass that is gamified and rewards shoppers for visiting businesses. The legacy of this culture has been brought to life by this jaw-dropping mural by Dirks on Erie Street, depicting the love of a Nona for her family, overlaid by her ties to Italy and new life in Canada. Another program we just launched this month is We Heart Local, focusing on the farm fresh in Windsor, Essex, your guide to local producers, growers, roadside stands, farmers markets, craft beverages, and farm-to-table dining through a digital pass encouraging exploration of over 70 participants in the campaign. To encourage participation in these programs, we know that building consumer confidence towards feeling safe to travel is key, and that is why we have embraced the Safe Travels designation. The Safe Travel stamp is certified by the World Tourism and Travel Council. This stamp allows travelers to recognize companies that have adapted to health and hygiene protocols so they can be comforted to know that these businesses take safe travels seriously. We have 124 businesses who have received this designation currently, with 21 businesses in the town of Essex. Intake continues, and we encourage more businesses to follow suit. And speaking of safe travel, arguably there is no safer place currently than in some of our outdoor adventures, including the highlights of our birding guide. We showed residents this year how to be a backyard birder, identifying different species, and it also includes a map of the primary birding sites in Windsor, Essex. The Windsor Essex Fishing Guide is packed with some of the best places to fish, where to grab your bait, and reel in what species are found right here in Windsor, Essex. Thank you, and I would now like to hand over the presentation to Jason.
Thank you, Lynette. Like last year, this year will be the year of the staycation, with people staying close to home. Our Summer of the Staycation campaign is hyper-local and will make it easy for locals to learn more about things to do in their own backyard, with easily downloadable itineraries, Bible experiences, and more. In tandem, we'll also be launching the Windsor Essex Road Trip campaign that will be encouraging those across Southern Ontario to plan a road trip to our region for 2+ nights when it's safe to do so. Both campaigns will run through the fall to help drive traffic to our attractions and hotels. COVID-19 has also impacted how media is being consumed, and we've adapted. You'll notice when you receive a copy of this year's official visitor guide, it's actually branded a staycation guide for Windsor, Essex, Pelee Island. This will be a great asset for locals and as well visitors to pick up in market. We'll have a fully digital guide that we will be distributing out of market, utilizing a third-party agency that will be using data to target those with the highest propensity to travel this summer and fall. Part of the entire campaign will be our Windsor Hotel Incentive Campaign, a campaign designed to help drive overnight visitation. Visiting guests book a minimum of 2 nights at a Windsor hotel. They'll have the opportunity to receive a gift card to redeem Welland Market, including a pizza voucher. A similar campaign will run through our major hotels in Leamington, Kingsville, and Lakeshore. This campaign should help encourage additional room bookings and also encourage visitors to explore new offerings in districts while they're here. 2 programs we partnered with the Windsor Essex Chamber of Commerce on last year that have legacy pieces include Shop YQG and Dine YQG. Both are designed to help promote local at a time when it is needed the most. Our website also continues to be the most important marketing tool that we have, and we've added many enhancements and new features, including a hotel check-in system, package integration for accommodation partners, menus for restaurants on our website, and as well as feature content of new creative that we've released. I'd now like to hand over the presentation to Gordon.
Thanks very much, Jason. And that is the team. That is the team of dedicated tourism professionals that I have the privilege to work with every day. An important part of that team, of course, is our Regional Tourism Committee, and the town of Essex is ably represented by Nelson Savera, your Economic Development Officer. Nelson is an excellent collaborator and partner. I also want to give a shout out to a couple other members of your administrative team, Doug Sweet and Alex Denonville. Pleasure to work with. Thank you very much, Council, for your time this evening, and more importantly, of course, for continuing to invest in tourism and your support of Tourism Windsor Essex Pelee Island. Your Worship, we'd like to conclude with a 30-second regional video, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon, for that presentation, and thank you and your staff for all the work they put into this. And under these times, these tough times, I know it's a challenge. So once again, thank you. And I'm going to open it up to council. Does council have any questions? Councillor Bondi, go ahead, and then Councillor Bjorkman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you to our delegation. Thank you for bringing the whole team tonight, Gordon. And I saw your booth down in Colchester, and a couple of young women were there handing out flyers, and I did a little Facebook Live, and I had a lot of people messaging me after with interest for the bird guide and the fishing guide. So I'm wondering if I could get some copies of those, please, because I do welcome packages. And they're fun, right? And so if I could get some copies, I'd be really grateful. But thank you. You know, I've heard people are like, staycation a year, like another year, another summer. And I'm like, yes, but you know, I think we have to put a little effort in finding all those hidden gems. I was in Amherstburg and I saw the Goofy Golf there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. Like, why am I not doing these things, right? I stay in my municipality all the time. I'm like, I have to be in Essex. I have to be in Essex. I have to be in Essex. But I think it's time for us to try to get out of the box in our region. So thank you for reminding us of that. And I will sidebar with you and try to make an arrangement to get some of those guides, please.
Well, thank you very much, Mayor. I'd like to thank you for your comments, and Councillor, through the Mayor, I'd like to thank you for your comments as well. That's part of our visitor information specialist team that are out doing some pop-ups, and that's under Lynette's jurisdiction. I thank her for making sure that happens. And I totally agree with you on the idea of Windsorites and our friends in the county cross-pollinating throughout Windsor Essex Pelee Island this summer to support local. Thank you very much, Councillor. We'll get you those copies.
Councillor Bjorkman, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Gordon, Lynette, nice to see you again. Jason, I don't know you, but nice to meet you. I just think I brought it with me. Just I love the size of this guide this year. I think it's a lot easier for people to bring with them and take with them, but you've done so much online, I think is just key. I really want to thank you for doing that and point that out, to create itineraries for just our town, or as Councillor Bondi says, going outside of our town and doing our entire area. Building those things online is just so much easier. It's a great tool. And I think we need to find a way to get more of that information out, let people know that is right there. One day, we've got so many people that are now staying in our areas. We're looking at, we're just having talks about our rentals, about motels, different things coming in, and having people stay in the area, even if they're from their area. They can come out, and you want to go to the wineries for a weekend. Well, there's somewhere you can stay. If you come from Windsor, you can stay in Essex, get one of these itineraries, plan out wineries and beaches and restaurants to go to. And it's all right here in the county. I just think it's really easy to use. So thank you very much for the work that you do and for promoting us and getting our name out there. I don't have any questions. I just got, it's great. We're really happy with the service you provide and the work you do. So thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Councillor.
Deputy Mayor Malash, go ahead. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, to Gord, Lynette, Jason, and the whole team. The mayor and I have been fortunate enough to see this at County Council as well. And I didn't get a chance to comment that night. It was quite a long meeting. And but in any case, the speed with which you and your team have reacted to this whole COVID situation, working out excellent plans to help people along in their stay vacations. I just have to congratulate all of you on the choices that you've made to move people in that direction. And I know I've already talked to a number of people from Windsor that have expressed interest in the birding and the fishing booklet as well, as Councillor Bondi has mentioned. But it's amazing that we have these great assets a lot of times right in our own backyard, and we don't realize it. And I think this is an opportunity to try and get people to realize what is right in their own backyard. So thank you again for putting forth the programs that you guys have done. And I think this is really going to be a good summer for everyone to get to know what surrounds them rather than what's 2 blocks away or a couple of counties away. So thanks again.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Anybody else from council? Councillor Bowman, go ahead.
Thank you. And again, thanks for the presentation this evening. It's always great to see the group come out and present this. Gordon and I go back quite a ways and over the years, and I think COVID has brought something unique to us. The stay vacation is a great opportunity for us to see what's in our own backyard. And what drove that home was many years ago when I was at a convention that was centered in Windsor. My wife took one of the city tours that was offered at the convention. And she was thrilled at some of the things that she didn't know were there. And I think that just pointed out that there's so many of us miss a number of the things that go on in the communities around the county of Essex. And the state vacation idea really sort of drives that home and makes it an opportunity for people to take advantage of what we already have. Dan Gord and your crew, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Appreciate it.
Anybody else from council? So once again, Gord, thank you and thank your staff for the presentation and all the hard work you put into it. It's well appreciated, believe me.
Thank
So
you.
at this point here, I'll need a motion to accept the presentation, please. Councillor Bondi and Councillor Bjorkman, all in favor? It's carried. Thank you and good night, Gordon, your staff. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next delegation this evening is Kathy Baudouin from the Essex Food Basket. Here in regards to before council this evening in regards to a request to move the Essex food basket to the change room at the Harrow Soccer Park.
You, Rob, go ahead. Kathy, if you're there, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. I just want to say thank you again for letting me use the space, continue to use the space at the Scout Hall. I couldn't have done all these events without the storage there, the easy access to people that call for food, the emergency food, and also with a huge shout out to the Harrow Fair Board for letting me use the hall because it hasn't been able to be rented out. It's been to our advantage. Unfortunately, it's because of the pandemic, but it's worked out well. So I understand there's a possibility that the new hockey academy might be going in there. They need some room until we purchase the high school. Hopefully we purchase the high school. I know that everyone that I talked to is very happy about that. But I would like to, I had a meeting yesterday at the soccer field with the, I don't know what to call her, the chair or whatever of the St. Vincent's Society, Rose, who runs the Harrow Food Bank, and Councillor Bondi. We went into the rooms to see how much room there is in there. Their rooms are very empty at this time. Luckily, we are having this miracle drive, which we are part of next week. I can't wait to see what we can collect there. We were so successful last year. So I was hoping that I would be able to use that space over there. I had said I would continue this food drive-through once a month until the pandemic was over. I have been getting about 150 families come through. The last one I had 80, and I don't know why. It was a nice day. There was no reason for people not to come out. So I'm thinking that possibly people are finding other sources. So I was considering possibly doing it maybe 4 times a year, like for Christmas, Thanksgiving this year. I'll see what happens, see where the need is. And then any food that I've collected, I can help share with the Harrow Food Bank. I would hope that maybe we can get some collaboration going with them, and maybe I can help them out with the donations that I get, the contacts that I have. And I know that Essex has a great food bank. We've been through there, been through the one in Puce. I think we could use a little upgrade and some extra help with this one in Harrow. And I'm very willing to help. And I just need to have a spot to keep the food, help store the food. And hopefully we're going to get a lot more this weekend coming up with the Miracle Drive.
Yeah, I think I'll go to, at this point here, maybe I should go to Doug first. Doug, if you can speak on the other facility she's looking at.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Kathy raised a point. I was going to say, if council was not aware that the Harrow Food Bank is at that complex already, but I did follow up with staff, and we do have one dressing room that is available on that site. I know part of the request is that to make space, but I think it's important for council to realize we haven't had any formal leases or anything in terms of other lines hall space yet. So I think these are 2 separate issues. If the Essex Food Basket would like to go to the Harrow Soccer Complex, we definitely have a room that can accommodate them.
I'll go right to council now then. Councillor Verbeek, go ahead.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to address Ms. Bodway and thank her for all her hard work, her and her team, with their great efforts to, help feed our community. And very often, like their motto is, they don't, it's not necessarily the people with the empty cupboards they're catering to. They're just giving people the opportunity to keep some money in their pockets to pay bills. There's not a lot of questions. They don't need to prove that they need assistance. And I'll be honest, I've called upon Miss Bodway as recently as like 2 weeks ago, and I was so grateful because I had some people reach out to me in the community, and she was able to quickly put me together some emergency supplies to bring to. There were actually one phone call turned into two, because just because I guess they were meant to fall into my lap that day since I was having to call upon Kathy for help. I think I'm really grateful to hear from Mr. Sweet that there's room over there at that soccer complex. And we did tour it. It's a beautiful complex. It's easy access too. And there's already a service there. And combining with resources that are already actively engaged with people in our community that need help, like the St. Vincent, the local food bank there, that seems to me like a brilliant marriage and an ideal location. And I'm really glad to hear that Mr. Sweet thinks that we can do it if we choose as a council to support it, because I will be supporting it as Ms. Bodway has been supporting our community and our most vulnerable in our community for quite some time. She has a heart of service. Thank you.
Workman, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. And yes, thank you very much, Kathy Bogan, for being here and the service you provide to this community. I think Mr. Sweet has said there is room. It's a good synergy, so I will make the motion that we allow Ms. Bogan to use that space and to leave the Lions Hall and go there and use that.
And
I don't know if it needs.
Councillor Verbeek, would you second? You were going to second that? Okay, Councillor Verbeek seconds it. Any other comments on that? All in favor of letting Kathy go over? It's approved. Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy, for coming forward.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
So at this point here, I'll need a motion to accept that. Need a motion to accept Kathy's presentation. Councillor Verbeek and Deputy Mayor Meloche. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our last presentation or delegation this evening, listed as 8.5 on the agenda, is Mr. Bernard Gorski, president of the Colchester Ridge Estate Winery. And Mr. Gorski is here to speak on the application for a site-specific sign bylaw amendment for Crew, which is noted under reports this evening under agenda item 10.1.
Bernard, before you start, okay, I've talked to some of the councilors. I'm sorry I didn't get out to them all. There's a misunderstanding here. I just let council know that Mr. Gorski's existing sign is still there, okay? The reason is because his new sign, when he puts his new sign, okay, the crane operator will be there with the crane to remove the existing sign and put the new sign in place. And the reasoning is that because of the cost of the crane, he doesn't want to spend twice to have the crane come there twice. So just to let council know, that's the reason why the existing sign is still there. So go ahead, Bernard.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Thank you for putting me on the agenda this evening. I'm here to ask for a site-specific amendment to the bylaw, the sign bylaw 1350. I am proposing a sign that will have just a small open section or a small open sign, lit sign in the middle of a permanently worded sign. And it will also be externally lit, in the wintertime when the sun goes down so early. I'm going to have some floodlights on it to make sure everybody can see where we are. The bylaw or the specific amendment that I'm looking for is because the size is slightly larger. I know in the letter I had written that it was a 25% larger. It's actually 19.38% larger. My math was corrected by somebody who had read this. And also it was 16.7% taller, not the 20% taller. So it's less than what I had stated in my letter to the town and the councillors. I would like to get this amendment so I can apply for a permit to have my sign erected, and it has to be constructed and erected. Hopefully up in 4 weeks. Got everything in order. All we have to do is get the approval from your worship and the councillors.
Thank you, Bernard. Any questions from council on this request? Deputy Mayor Melange, go ahead.
Thank you, through your worship. And thank you, Mr. Gorski, for being here this evening to present this. I've said before, I have no issue with the size of the sign. I think what's being presented, according to the size of the building that's behind this sign, it doesn't look, it doesn't stand out to be abnormally large or anything like that. It fits the size of the building to me. So I'm okay with the request. I'm just letting everyone know. And it's nice to see that you've moved to changing the electronic portion of the sign. It's something that the community wanted to have changed, and I'm glad that you're stepping forward to change that up. So thank you. I'm in support of moving forward with this tonight so that we can get past this. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and I agree. This has been going on a long, long time, and we have to have a resolution here. Councillor Van den Dolen, you're next. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I'm in favor of the current sign. I thought it was completely within community standards and what looked and felt normal, as long as it wasn't on all night. So if the new one, if the one he's applying for is smaller and less lit, then I'm still in favor. Thank you.
Anybody else from council? Councillor Bondi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad you cleared that up, because one of the questions that I was getting asked is that, the current electronic media sign is going to stay, and it's going to be, boarded off, and the open is going to be turned on, and then the bylaw is going to be changed, and after the next election and so I'm glad that that is clear. And I didn't have an issue with a bigger sign right from the beginning, and I wish you well, and I can't wait to see your new sign up. And I'm on the wagon. I wish I wasn't, but I've been on the wagon since August 19th last year. So as soon as I'm back on the wine sampling, I will make my rounds again. But hopefully you have a good summer. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Councillor Bondi. Anybody else? Well, I'll tell council I'm 100% in support of this sign. So at this point here, if there's no other questions, I guess I'm going to have to ask for a motion to receive this, please. Councillor Bowman and Councillor Van den Dolen, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard, for your presentation. And at this point, I'm probably going to, we don't need a motion no, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just now on the agenda, moving directly to reports. 10.1 is Development Services 2021-02, re Colchester Ridge Estate Winery request for site-specific sign bylaw amendment for receipt, and that bylaw 2039 received 3 readings and be finally passed on June 21st, 2021. But first, Mr. Mayor, I believe we're going to our Director of Development Services, Lori Chadwick.
Lori.
Thank you anyway, Mr. Mayor. No need, a great discussion prior to this. So thanks anyway.
Yeah. Motion to adopt this. Deputy Mayor Melange and Councillor Guerin, all in favor? It's carried. And to Bernard, it's over. So good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next report on the agenda Being as 10.2 is Chief Administrative Officer Report 2021-02, Corporate Strategic Plan 2021 Progress Update. And I turn that over to our CAO, Chris Nepsey.
Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. Good evening, Council. I'm excited to present the progress update for our corporate strategic plan. A little bit of background. I mean, what is a corporate strategic plan? It's essentially a tool which we establish as the overall direction and priorities for Council. It aligns efforts, supports our future decision-making. This report that we're providing as far as an update is the first time in this term of Council we've taken it to that next step and provided you the progress update on the action items in the plan. So back at the beginning of this term of Council established 6 key values for the 2019 to 2022 corporate strategic plan. Those key values are what we use as administration to build the vision that Council has for this town for their term. So those values include progressive and sustainable infrastructure, healthy community and quality of life, financial and economic stewardship, vibrant growth and development, citizen and customer experience, and organizational effectiveness and resiliency, which throughout the pandemic has had to shine more than ever. We broke down those priorities and they each have goals and action items associated with them. So what are we here for tonight? Again, this is to provide you an update, right? You have a little over a year left in your term. So the plan was formed a little over a year into your term. So we're about halfway. And I wanted to go through in detail each item and show you some comments on where those stand. We've learned a little bit throughout this process of the creation of this plan, of the evolution of this plan, and that includes goal setting, right? So you can read some of these goals they're tough to gauge in terms of the measurable item on them. Some of them are always being worked on. Some of them are completed and will always be completed, in terms of develop a sustainable priority plan for roads or financial, make sure that the corporation is in good financial shape. These are things that we're always doing them. We're always going to be doing them. So that's why you see some of the goal setting in terms of both ongoing and completed. So what I want to do is go through a little bit of the 64 objectives that we have. Out of those, 58 are completed or ongoing. I mean, that's a fantastic number. And that really, I want to thank Council for allowing and enabling administration to carry through on your vision. So 6 of those are not started or have yet to be started. But it's something that shows the progress that we're pushing through here for Council's vision. So I'm going to go through each one. I'll go through each value and maybe not each item. Council, please put your hand up. You've had this report for a couple of weeks in front of you. If you want to comment, if you want to question the objective, if you want to pivot on the objective, please step in, interrupt me, and we'll go from there. So the first value in front of us is the progressive and sustainable infrastructure. Just wait for Shelley to pull it up there. And just a quick comment on the cover page. Alex and I talked about what image do we want to place on that cover page, and I wanted something that showed progress, and I wanted something that showed, the work and the construction that we're doing. And I thought the Harrow Streetscape was a fantastic example of something that Council had a vision for, put a financial plan in place for, and look where we're at now. I know we're in the middle of it, but we've got to walk through the muck before we get to that grassy, sunny field. And we truly appreciate everyone's patience as we move towards that goal. So progressive and sustainable infrastructure. So topping off the list is ensuring financial stability of current and new infrastructure. So this is one of those items that is both completed and ongoing. It's something that we do. It's something that we'll continue to do. but it's something that we want to continue to tweak, make better, review, and make those continuous improvements on. We've expanded our asset management and lifecycle reserve sections. We continually review our reserve financing, and we're looking forward for those strategies and plans towards that. Like I said, I'm not going to stop and ask for people to have questions, please. And I don't see the screen. That's just interrupt, and we'll go from there. The second item is investing in new infrastructure to meet the needs of all residents. Developing a sustainable priority plan for roads, implementing rural strategy and sewage strategy, reviewing funding models and long-term planning to meet sustainability objectives for roads, bridges, and other assets. All of these are ongoing. We're doing new assessments. We're looking at ward review studies on both sewer and sanitary, EAs that are being completed and pushed forward. Continual engineering, design, and capital projects. We synchronize those to the development of the funding model to boost the return on investment, evaluating needs for assessment on that underground infrastructure as well. So, those are all ongoing. Identifying the work with stakeholders and partners to meet infrastructure goals. The first one there was early on, and you've seen the punch delivered through both the province's actions and our actions as far as expanding access to broadband internet service. The second item is one of those ones that I think we pivoted on in one of those roundtables we had, the infrastructure roundtable, in terms of improving the road assumption process. That's something that council noted that really minimal direction on that for now. Highlighting that there's a lot of work that potentially has to go into it, and maybe now is not the time to push the resources into looking at that. So that was one of those ones that we pivoted on in that roundtable. The third one, there's strong work that's being done there by the team here, developing formal partnerships to help achieve infrastructure goals. Whether it's the MTO project or stormwater management facility, really see the push from administration to carry through on this goal, to create those partnerships, to not only protect future investment, but to help improve current residents and where they're at with their infrastructure. So lots of good things going on there. The third one, mitigate the impacts of climate change and reduce the environmental footprint. All those items, in terms of development services, in terms of the climate change adaptation plan, the things that this council is doing and pushing forward, and that administration is bringing forward, is fantastic. You have a lot of goals that have come out of that climate change adaptation plan that we're going to be meeting on and informing council. So I'm not going to get into the details on those there. Moving on, healthy community and quality of life. Again, 100% of those are completed or ongoing. Fantastic numbers, provide every resident with access to parks, rec, and culture opportunities, improve quality of life through affordable, inclusive, and accessible programming and rec facilities. You talk about pivot. The team has done fantastic things with the pandemic and what we can do here, and continue to work in the background, right? Exploring options for town administered leagues, continually maintaining their high five accreditation. Kudos to the team there. We offer a wide range of programming. We've diversified and looked at, online programming, and they continue to push the envelope on that type of programming. Active transportation, networking, multi-use paths. Again, looking at optimizing our active transportation infrastructure, evaluating those gaps, implementing the Parks, Rec, and Culture Master Plan. All the things that we continue to do. You see that in the capital projects that are being put forward. You see that in the where we're putting our resources and operations. Kudos again. We've got, I think, one of the largest investments in the CWATS program in terms of trails and shared pathways. So kudos again to council that way. Conducting a review of rec facilities. Fantastic. It's something that we do. It's something that we continue to do. Heritage Park was highlighted in there, implementing the master plan on sports field shortages. A lot of these are tied to finances, which, is sometimes out of our control or beyond our control even. So the other thing I want to note there is, even though a lot of these goals are ongoing or completed, it's important to note that some of them might not be fully achieved, maybe to the intent that council wanted or the intent that we had thought or envisioned when we did the strategic plan, but that's okay. Strategic plans are meant to have that vision, are meant to push beyond. So I think it's important to put those in relative terms that way. Financial and economic stewardship. Again, ongoing or completed, and that's something I'm going to talk a little bit later on tonight as corporate services is at our last council meeting tonight. But our town has always been strong financially, continues to be strong financially, looking for those investments in sustainable infrastructure, looking at long-term finance processing, ensuring that the town is a destination to newcomers and investors. So we're promoting those new developments. Whether it's DCs or front-end loading agreements, we're always looking for those ways to keep us financially, be responsible fiscally to the residents, but allow and promote for positive growth. Vibrant growth and development. You see it. I mean, I don't know where there's not a shovel in Essex right now. And for all reasons, private, public, residential development, provincial, it's fantastic to see. Providing for diverse development, ready opportunities. You've got a team at Development Services that is leading the way in a lot of these. And tonight's meeting was a prime example of that with our short-term rental. Looking at policies to create these development-ready areas, partnerships with utilities, emphasizing the agricultural economy. I mean, you've got the agritourism development strategy. Fantastic, right? So there's some really big accomplishments in here, Council. Want you to key in on it, and I applaud you for supporting small businesses while investing in revitalization and whether those CIP programs, the County Road 50 CIP program, farm diversified uses, agritourism developments, develop and implemented the Join Us Essex campaign. I see those signs. It's fantastic to see the pickup on that. And then how can we not forget the Harrow Streetscape and the thought towards the Essex Streetscape in terms of design and looking forward to the construction on that. Promoting the town as a premier destination, tourism destination, with Gordon and his team tonight, really showcasing what we've got to offer here and the team that we have in place. The tourism strategy, the funding to be considered in 2022 for the comprehensive tourism strategy. We're rolling out the tourism promotions in 2021, new videos, print advertisement, developing agri and ecotourism offerings, whether it's with IRCA, the Town of Essex Tourism Hub, partnering with Explore the Shore. We continue to implement those agritourism strategies. Improve connectivity between neighborhoods. We continue to, again, COVID's put a damper on some of these, but we still work behind the scenes to try and promote that in terms of enhanced regional transit, develop and implement a wayfinding signage strategy. We've implemented those rural wayfinding signs in Colchester, McGregor. The Harrow and Essex centers are going to be included in the streetscape. Park signage is installed throughout the municipalities. Review town-owned properties and develop a surplus property plan. That data has started. It's one of those projects that seems on the surface, well, that should be easy to just rip off. But when you get into the details and the level of information that you've got to filter, it's a bit onerous. But we've got an alley closing policy drafted, and then a declaration of surplus property bylaw under review. Some of the other ones then, I guess we're falling into the citizen and customer experience. So 78% of these are completed or ongoing. High numbers as well. You know, we continue to improve service delivery with customer service kiosks at the town facilities. The business case is to be provided for council in the third quarter here. We're looking to promote that new kiosk to be conducted in conjunction with communications. Review brick and mortar facilities. You know, COVID has really put a lens on what that looks like. You know, we're looking at the town hall and Guesto offices. I know there's been a lot of discussion around other facilities that we're looking at potentially purchasing. That will play into that. Continue to expand our use of virtual tools for rec programming. Implementing electronic building permit and inspection platforms. These are just some ways where we're really pushing that digital and web-based technology. That just improves the level of service and the information that we can provide to our citizens that way. Creating a single repository for online services, our e-services hub. It's been established during the pandemic. Continued consideration of user experience and addition of new online services. So we're not happy with it just being there. We're looking to expand it. We're looking to make it better. That's one of my large mottos here is how do we make it better? Even with something that was just implemented, right? Implement a best practices manual for gathering public feedback. Ongoing work to standardize digital forms to capture relevant information and ensure that positive user experience. We want people to go away being able to find the information, be able to get the information they need, being able to utilize the forms, access contact, and you know, promote it that way. Develop a comprehensive customer and citizen service policy. It's something, you know, Essex Works, you've gotten the updates and the progress updates on Essex Works. We see it's working. We're continuing to tweak it, make it better. We're looking at those response times. We're, you know, collecting that data, and we provide that to council quarterly so they can incorporate it into the analysis in terms of where we move and how we get better. One of the ones that hasn't been started, review customer service, customer relationship management software. We're looking at those costs in the 2022 budget. Hosting public meetings, accessible locations for all citizens. Provide a variety of mechanisms for citizens to give feedback on council and, you know, in-person meetings obviously have been stunted, but we're looking at those protocols. You know, hopefully in the fall we're going to get back to some in person, whether it's a hybrid, whether it's you know, fully one way or another, or hybrid in terms of some meetings maybe in person, some meetings are not. Or a hybrid moving forward digitally. It's something we're continuing to look at that way, and you know, make that access and that information for residents the best we can. So the last one really keys in on the organizational effectiveness and resiliency. Increase organizational capacity by developing staff. You know, we create a formal staffing plan to include succession planning and cross training. We're really looking at, you know, our training, internal training here. Our policies are second to none. You know, we need to look to considering attrition as an opportunity to cross train in division and developments. So we're working towards that. One of the big check marks here in the town of Essex was implementing a performance management system. And that truly, I really see the fruit of that labor, I guess, in terms of providing concrete goals for staff to develop in their positions. I see the focus. I see the focus on performance management. I see the focus on those goals and the thought process in setting those goals. And you see it from the top down in terms of including goals as a team and working together towards managing those. So that's been a fantastic completed goal that only benefits both staff internally, but it only benefits the residents coming out of that. annual staff performance evaluations. That's part of the PMP. One thing that's really driven a change here, obviously, is the pandemic and flexible work arrangements. And we've talked about this before, but working in the pandemic, we've been forced to work a certain way. As we see the light to coming out of the pandemic, we get to choose to work a certain way. And we're looking at making those choices that make sense for Essex, the Essex solution here. We see the benefits of the flexible work arrangements. You've got a motivated staff that's able to continue to pump out. Obviously, you see the results of the work and whatnot. So it's something that we're going to look to solidify moving forward. Internal and external access to corporate documents and records. Paper reduction strategies, the use of Laserfiche, records management plans, all of these things have been really highlighted throughout the pandemic, and we continue to work on those. Explore efficiencies in service delivery by working with partners and stakeholders. You've seen the service delivery, working with the county, whether it's USWA or the county or ELK, all these stakeholders that we have, our Union Water. There's a lot of issues that are coming forward regionally, and I see the thought process changing, which is nice to see as a local CAO, that regional thought process is ever so slightly starting to be forefront in everyone's. Nice to see. With respect to policing strategies, we completed the policing survey in 2020. I think it's something that we'll continue to communicate and work through with the OPP and the Police Services Board to look at those opportunities and to improve local policing. Waiting the provincial decision on the Police Services Board that we just recently discussed, but we continue to look at those positive factors that'll make our policing better that way. So I know a little bit run on there, guys, and I appreciate your time and your attention, but I didn't want to just gloss over it. I didn't want to say any questions. I wanted to make sure that we highlighted these. I think it's important. Staff have put a lot of work into all of these goals and objectives for council. Again, I thank you for allowing us to move this forward and continue to meet your goals. So kudos to council. Thank you. Any questions, compliments we'll take as well.
First of all, Chris, I want to thank you and staff for putting this together. It's a lot of work, and I want to thank council for their input. This wouldn't happen if it wasn't for council and staff combined. So, Councillor Guerin, go ahead, and then I'll go to Councillor Verbeek next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chris and your team. Lots of great detail in that presentation. It truly is. I tell everybody when I walk around and meet people and just remind them, if keep your eyes open. And stuff's happening. There's an exciting time to be a resident in Essex for sure. And there are areas that still need to be addressed, and we'll get to them all hopefully. But this strategic plan, the progress update is jam-packed with a lot of great things that this council has achieved with the help of administration. So just keep up the good work, everyone, and thanks again, Chris and team.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Verbeek, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chris and staff. I just related this to a member of council earlier today. How I've been letting some of social media and some of public just hearing some of the negatives settle as opposed to the positives about remarks about this council, as you're all hearing them in the social media, being dysfunctional and not working together. And I feel like quite often in the last several months, I've been defending us, saying, you know what, we're not going to be best friends. And that's good for this municipality, that we don't all share the exact same political values, but we're getting a lot of stuff done. And I've seen so much progress just in this current council in this term than, in a long time. And I really appreciate that staff did this project. This is beautiful for us as council to be able to say, look at how our council is working together and with our staff, and together all of us form this team. We've set these pretty substantial goals and we're working hard to meet them. And you've given us this tool to come back to the community with, to say, because there are, I don't know, maybe I'm just in the wrong realm, but I've been hearing and letting some of the negativity set in. Maybe it's just a first term counselor getting a little down about it, and I keep thinking like, we're working hard and there's these great things and there's this and there's this, and now we've got it right here in black and white. I don't have it in my hand. I did ask a staff member to print it off for me, but I didn't have time to pick it up. But now I'm going to have it in hand, as quick reference. And anyway, I want to thank the entire team for all that we've done to meet these goals, and we'll continue to together, and staff for putting this together. Thanks.
Thank you, Counselor. And Counselor Verbeek, it was a nice conversation you and I had today. And I have to agree with you. There's certain people out there that really like to spread negative things about certain members of council, and we're not doing this and doing that. But I'll tell the public, and I'll tell the public tonight, all you have to do is look out there. Look at what's going on in our municipality. Tremendous amount of growth, tremendous residential, tremendous commercial, industrial. Things are happening here. I wish I could announce the deputy mayor and myself. We had a nice dinner last week, didn't we, Deputy Mayor? And hopefully in a very, very near future, the deputy mayor and myself, along with staff, we can make a huge announcement of something that's going to happen. We did get the nod, okay? And let's, when the time comes, I think the deputy mayor and myself will make an announcement, and it's huge for Essex. But these are the things we got to be working on. I mean, I'm getting calls from different developers from outside our municipality, from Chatham, London area, wanting to do things in this municipality. And that's through all the hard work of council and administration. So we should be able to pat ourselves on the back and say a good job, because I'm not going to sit back any longer. I'll tell the public this, to listen to a few people that are going to be negative and slam us every chance they get. That's going to stop. I won't tolerate it. And just to let council know, think about the positive things we do. Don't let a few people with negative thought get to you. Councillor Verbeek, and I'll stress that to you. I know it's frustrating when you hear people with negative things, okay? But you know what? Let it go. Let it go, because you're doing a lot of good things in this municipality and your ward too. So keep up the good work, everybody. Deputy Mayor Meloche.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. To Chris and his team, I've been on council for 5 terms. This is my 5th term. This has got to be the best strategic plan that I've seen out of the 5 terms by far. It's detailed. It's very complete. It gives us a lot of enthusiasm as a council, and really highlights well the good work that's being done. And it's an easy document to read. It's not confusing. It's straight up. Gives good examples of what is being accomplished in each category. Kudos to you guys. You did a great job on this report. Thank you.
Anybody else? Councillor, I think Councillor Bowman, you were next, and then Councillor Vandendoen.
Just a quick comment. Fantastic report and a lot of work went into it, and the projects that have been completed. The one thing that sort of stood out to me is, even though some of them are completed, it shows work in progress. That just means it's an ongoing thing. It'll always be updated. It'll keep moving forward. So it's something that can be carry on for our community for a long time. So again, that's, I think, fantastic. Again, thanks so much.
Councillor Van Dolen.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I won't belabor how good I think this report is. I agree with the rest of councillors who've already spoken, but I just want to point out to voters that what this report shows is how much detailed long-term work what we do requires. People would like us to just snap our fingers and ban something or snap our fingers and create something, and we can't. It takes years of formulating ideas and debate and research and policy formulation and all these boring legal steps we have to go through. But all that stuff that Mr. Nepsey was referring to, I mean, most of it we were talking about in 2018, 2019, 2020. Some of it goes back even a lot longer. It's a long, slow, deliberate process of putting one foot in front of the other. And, by golly, we're finally getting there. It's great.
Councillor Bondi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'm also thrilled to receive this report, and it touches on so many things. And when we first did our strategic plan, I was like, this is a 25-year strategic plan. There's no way we're even going to get to most of it. And we are. It just shows if you put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving, we're moving forward. I think we have a really strong staff complement right now, the right people in the right positions, just getting the work done. And I've never been so busy as a counselor. I honestly, this is, the last 6 months I say I can't keep up. That being said, I love everything we're seeing. Where I think council, like we're going so fast, full steam ahead, where I think that we could do something on, and I'm not sure what it is engaging the public. I think that sometimes we just go forward, and we don't stop to say, okay, what does the public think? With the major files, I think we do, like short-term rentals and secondary dwelling units, we are. But there's other things where I think more often we should stop, pause, listen to the residents, and then go forward, or listen as we go along. I was doing a little bit of research on this, and the town of Lakeshore has this app called Place Speak, and I'm not sure if it's even that effective, but it's just an idea where if you click all over the municipality, you'll see, here you can give them information about animal welfare. Here you can give them information about the marina. It's just something where you're always getting feedback from the residents. And I do know that we are getting feedback from the residents. Something I'd like to tell to our community members is when you're emailing issues, I'd really like the council members at essex.ca, email us all, so we all know what your questions or concerns are about, because, 6 months later, I find out that a resident has an outstanding issue. And I'm like, well, if you emailed all of council at the beginning, more hands could have got on it and helped. So the roads, looking at a roads condition assessment report, that's something I really can't wait to look at. And hopefully we can get it ahead of the next year's budget discussions, because I'm getting asked a lot in Harrow about which roads are coming next. And I know we're doing the streetscape, so it feels even kind of selfish to discuss more roads, but Walnut Street in Harrow is one. People are going, when is it coming? And I go, I can't tell you, I have no information. So I'm really glad that we're going to have like a solid roads plan that we can take to our community members and say, hey, this is the condition of your road. This is what to expect. And this is conditions of other roads, right? Everybody's road is bad, right? Just like there's speeding everywhere, but there's so many competing priorities. So I think it's great. I think this is one of our strengths. There's so much to look forward to. Business retention, I look forward to seeing that along with the agritourism and public feedback. I see the shoreline study on public properties coming. I'm really happy to see that. And I can't wait to see what the next year brings. So thank you to our CEO, and keep up the good work.
Council. So once again, thanks for the report. It's great, and it's good that we're moving forward. Need a motion to receive the report, please. Councillor Bowman and Councillor Van Dolen, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, item 10.3 on this evening's agenda. Site-specific zoning amendment relating to 96 County Road 50 West, Colchester Center, Ward 3. That said report be received, and that bylaw 2034 being a bylaw to amend 1037 specific to 96 County Road 50 West be read a first, second, and third time and be finally passed on.
So good, finally, it's in front of us. So I'll need a mover on this one here. Could I get a mover, Councillor Vanendel and Councillor Bjorkman? Any questions? All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 10.4 on the agenda, planning 2021-12, rezoning bylaw amendment to permit and regulate second dwelling units in the town of Essex for receipt, and that bylaw 2035 being a bylaw to amend the comprehensive zoning bylaw. Received 3 readings this evening and be finally adopted. And first, Mr. Mayor, I believe we're going to our Director of Development Services, Lori Chadwick.
Lori, you wanted to speak on this? Lori?
I lost my cursor, found my cursor. Thank you. Okay, so just quickly, Mr. Mayor, as the report indicates, the County of Essex is currently reviewing our application for official plan amendment. Those policies are currently being reviewed at the county level to permit second dwelling units in accessory structures detached or attached, or rather detached or attached within the dwelling itself, in residential and agricultural districts. This OPA, the official plan amendment, must be approved prior to amending our zoning bylaw. However, while this county level policy review is happening, on a parallel track, you have in front of you some proposed zoning regulations for your consideration following our meetings with you and the public back in April. So we thought we would bring forward some further regulations, some proposed amendments above and beyond what we heard from you, so that on that parallel track, we can kind of get kickstarted so we don't have to wait until that OPA is approved at the county. So tonight's draft zoning bylaw amendment is therefore being presented to you tonight for 2 readings only, meaning we would like to get your feedback tonight if we could, or you can submit that email directly to us afterwards once you've had a little bit of time to digest. And then what we propose to do in July, hopefully, is present to you a final zoning bylaw amendment for 3rd and final reading, as well as we have to make sure that we have that county approval and of course that you're satisfied as a council with those proposed regulations. So at this point, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay with you, I would like to have Rita Jabor, our Manager of Planning Services, who has been the project lead on this project, quickly summarize a few of the regulations as identified in the report, open up the floor for questions, and also to clarify some things that we noticed are actually missing from the amendment.
Rita?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, thank you. So in summary, bylaw 2035 adds a definition to zoning bylaw 1037. So a second dwelling unit will be permitted either in the main dwelling or in a completely detached structure in residential districts and in agricultural districts, but not in both on any one lot. In terms of additional regulations, we've heard your concerns about undersized lots. So we're proposing amendments to the zoning bylaw to specifically section 8.5, which restricts second dwelling units and accessory structures on lots that are 40 feet, a minimum of 40 feet wide. We also noted that there was concerns with the location of a second dwelling unit in a completely detached structure. Council noted concerns with it being in a required yard. So that was one of the omissions that we noticed in this bylaw, but we will include it in there with the 3rd reading that a second dwelling unit and a detached structure will not be permitted in a required yard. Additionally, we've included regulations that amend the section respecting accessory buildings in our zoning bylaw. So because second dwelling units may be constructed in an accessory building, we've now clarified that that accessory building, if it's being used for a garage, cannot be used in whole or in part for a dwelling unit unless it is a permitted second dwelling unit. And before this amendment, we did not permit any facilities for the preparation of food. But with this amendment, we are, so long as it's tied to a second dwelling unit. So in summary, those are the regulations in terms of servicing. They will not be permitted to have their own servicing connection. They'll have to service the second dwelling unit if it's in a completely detached structure from the existing connection. But that, in summary, that's it. We also, unfortunately, we omitted the size of the second dwelling unit. So in terms of its gross floor area, the intention is that it's not going to exceed the size of the main dwelling.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rita. Just to go back again, okay, because it's echoing a little bit. What is the minimum lot size to allow a second dwelling? What are you recommending?
So through you, Mr. Chair, the second dwelling unit has to be on a lot that meets all the applicable provisions for that zoning district, but it's not going to be permitted in a required yard. So it won't be permitted 4 feet from a rear lot line, for example. It'll have to be within that 25 feet.
Okay, thank you, Rita. For Lori or Rita? Deputy Mayor Malash, go ahead.
Thank you. A couple of questions. First, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor, to Rita. So you mentioned something about a 40-foot lot would not be permissible to have a secondary dwelling?
So through you, Mr. Chair, to Deputy Mayor Malash, on a 40-foot lot, you would be able to have a second dwelling unit in the main dwelling only, not in a detached structure.
Thank you. You mentioned that on a secondary dwelling unit that was separate from the original dwelling unit, that it couldn't be any more than, it couldn't be any larger than the existing dwelling unit. Are you speaking, and it can only be 1 story?
So through you, Mr. Chair, again, and Deputy Mayor Malash, it can be 2 stories if it's located in that building envelope. So no greater than the size of the main dwelling, and it can be 2 stories.
Okay, so if the original main dwelling is a 2-story building, and let's say it's 1,500 square feet per story, is it permissible to build a second dwelling unit that's 3,000 square foot ranch?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the regulation is really going to regulate it based on gross floor area. So it'll be limited in terms of story too, because that's all part of the GFA.
Okay, because there are residential lots in agricultural zones that you could potentially do that. And that's the reason why I'm asking. So just so that, you know, before we get to that particular scenario, it'd be nice to have an answer to make sure that we can give the resident an answer on it immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and to Councillor Bjorkman, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Thank you, Rita. That's a great report, and it was really nice to see all of the things that we talked about and all our concerns really were addressed in there. It's very comprehensive. It's a couple of things there that you're still going to tweak. I think it's so important that it's stated in there that these are not to be used as an STR. That's not what this is about. This is a dwelling, and it's the renter's or a secondary dwelling unit is defined as a renter's principal residence. It's not some place that they're renting out or letting people come in for a month at a time. So I just think it's very important right now with regard to that is such a separate issue. So thank you for the work on it and taking all those all of our considerations into place. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bjorkman. Anybody else? Thanks. Thanks for the report, Lori and Rita. I don't know. It's, you know, I got mixed feelings on it. You know that. So I think we're still going to have some work ahead of us. So at this point here, I just need a motion to receive the report.
And sorry, Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, because I did originally say 3 readings, but as Ms. Chadwick clarified, it's just 2 readings this evening, and then the noted revisions that Mr. Boris spoke to and 3rd reading will come back at a later meeting.
So I'll need a motion on that, please. Councillor Bjorkman, a seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Malash, all in favor? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 10.5 on this evening's agenda. 7, revised fees and charges bylaw and schedules. That said report be received. That Schedule C to bylaw number 1812 be revised with an effective date of July 1st, 2021. And that bylaw 2040, being a bylaw to establish miscellaneous fees and charges for the town, be read a first, second, and third time and be finally passed this evening, again with an effective date of July 1st.
I need a motion on this one, please. Counselor Bowman, seconder. Counselor Bjorkman, any questions? All in favor? It's carried.
Point 6, Infrastructure Services 2021-06, Ward 1 Water Supply west of Highway 3, cost recovery for receipt, and that council direct administration to develop a bylaw in accordance with Part 12 of the Municipal Act to impose a special charge on benefiting property owners to fully recover the cost upon connection to municipal water supply as identified in the report.
Need a mover on this report, please. Deputy Mayor Malash and Councillor Van den Dolen. Any questions? All in favor? Oh, you had a question, Deputy Mayor?
Just
Go ahead.
Just
Go
a
ahead.
general. It's nice to see that the water is crossing the road at that point in our town, because there's a large section in that corner of the town that doesn't have water. There's still a lot of people in that area, residents that are unwell, and the houses are not very close. So it's nice to have this cost, part of this cost already done, so that if we were to progress with trying to get everybody covered with municipal water in the town, there's an opportunity now, because this was a hindrance to making this happen previously. So I'm glad to see this moving forward. Thank you.
Much agreed, Deputy Mayor. Any other questions? All in favor? Carried.
Recreation and Culture 2021-02, results of requests for quote, new office at Essex Recreation Complex for receipt. That council award the request for quote to TCI Titan Contracting Incorporated in the total amount of $31,798.78. And that council approve utilizing approved grant funding of $31,798.78 from the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program COVID-19 Resiliency Grant.
Could I need a mover on this one, please? Councillor Bowman, Councillor Verbeek, any questions on this one? Councillor Verbeek, you had a question? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Sweet and his team. I mean, this was really great news, and I've just learned myself, especially in my last few months with the Police Service Board, what goes into applying for these grants, and that was a real win for our municipality. That, you know, I know staff always stays on top of these grant applications, but they're not an easy feat. I know there's a lot of hoops to jump through, and if I read right, we're not only getting this, this great new office, but there's money that was earmarked from the our asset management reserve is going to stay there because of a grant that our staff was able to get. So thanks, Mr. Sweet and team, for doing the work involved with getting these grants.
Thank you, Councillor, for that. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, I just want confirmation. This is a federal grant as well, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further questions. All in favor of this report? It's carried.
.8 is Economic Development 2021-07, Rebuilding Report and Development Overview for the month of May. For receipt this evening for council's information.
Have a mover on this one, please. Councillor Bjorkman, and a seconder, please. Could I have a seconder on this one, please? Councillor Bowman. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Updates this evening from County Council, Mr. Mayor.
I do have one myself. I'd like to share this information with council and to the public that's listening and the public that's out there. Maybe it's about our physician recruitment for the county. We put somebody in place. I think Deputy Mayor Malash, was it back in 2019? We brought the recruitment officer in somewhere around there, or was it before that?
No, she's been in well before that.
Okay,
Okay. I think it was like in 2010.
Okay, so I'll give an update on what's happening here. Since October 2019 to 2021, they recruited 55 new doctors. This is over the last 20 months, they recruited 55, 26 family, 8 emergency medicine, and 2 surgeons. It was 2 surgeons that they recruited. Now they give us the stats, physicians per 100,000 population. In 2019, this was the last report. Canada had physician for 241. Ontario was 218, and Windsor Essex was 175. So, but the good news here is the Ontario pledges almost $10 million for stage 2 planning for the new mega hospital, which is going to bring a lot of recruitment in there, and it's going to be a real upscale hospital. So just I wanted to pass a lot of this information on to you. Like we got to keep this recruitment officer going. And I don't know why the reasoning was, but Windsor withdrew their funding back in 2012, wasn't it, Deputy Mayor? Around there, but they still benefit from the recruitment that we're doing. So hats off to our recruitment officer. Heck of a job. But right now, like she explained, it's hard because of the COVID, and the students can't even get in to write their exams or anything. It's very hard right now to recruit any new doctors into our area. So I just wanted to pass this information on to the council and to the public out there that's listening. Deputy Mayor Malash, go ahead.
Thank you. And I just want to add to that, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind. Joan Mavernack, she's done a great job over the years. And yes, the city of Windsor decided at some point in time that they did not want to fund this any longer, that they didn't think that they needed it. But what Joan's done is, going back to 2010, she painted a really desperate picture for Windsor Essex County. And the fact that so many of our doctors were, at that point in time, were over age 60, heading towards retirement. And I think it was 50% of our doctors in Windsor Essex at that time were going to be retiring over the next 10 to 15 years in 2010. And that has truly happened. There's been a lot of doctors that have retired. Our numbers have still come up because of the recruitment, but we're still below the provincial average in physicians in Windsor Essex. We're not way below at this point in time, but we are still below the provincial average. So there's still a need to have somebody there looking out for us and trying to get doctors to this area. And Joan does a fantastic job. She's got the connections. She's money conscious because she's told us, Mr. Mayor, as you remember at our last meeting, that she even gave up her office because she didn't want to have to pay the rent. She's been working out of her house because everything's virtual anyway. So that's how money conscious she is, of trying to make sure she uses every penny towards recruitment rather than having an office for herself. So thanks.
And just to echo that, she's doing one heck of a job for us out here in the county. So thank you, Deputy Mayor. So now I'll go to Councillor Bondi. Councillor Bondi, do you have anything? Go ahead.
Oh, are we at council reports? Or are we at correspondence? We can go to council reports.
I'm sorry, I'm ahead of myself. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah,
that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On to correspondence at 13.1, that all of the correspondence listed in 13.1 be received.
So I'll get a mover just to receive all the correspondence if there's. Deputy Mayor Malash and Councillor Bowman. All in favor? Anything that one of the councillors want to bring out? Councillor Verbeek, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is a lot of correspondence, and there were actually 3 pieces that I thought this council might be interested in also supporting, a little more than just receipt. I guess I'll start with 13.1.7 from St. Catherine's, the Lyme disease awareness, because it's Lyme disease awareness. And I'm just wondering how to go about this. Should I remind council what the letter was about, and we can decide if we also want to support it? Is that? It's just okay.
No, I think we've all read the report, but it'll be up to council if they want to receive it, support it. So let's go through the letter there. Okay. You were bringing up the letter. Okay, hold on one sec. I don't know if all of council has seen it, okay? But there it is. So I'm quite sure of most of the council's read it. Okay, has council read that? Go ahead. And what's the next one?
Oh, thanks, Mr. Ogier. That's perfect that you can show these. It's about supporting just more testing, just supporting the request for better testing, better treatment for.
Okay, Councillor Verbeek, maybe we'll vote on each one as we go. So this is the first one. So I'm going to leave it up to council right now to receive and support this, or just receive it. Deputy Mayor Malash, receive and support. Okay, all in favor of that one?
Yeah, I'm supporting. I think Kim moved it.
Yeah, so that carries. That one carries. Okay, I'll go to your next one.
The next one was from our municipality of Lakeshore, 13.1.10. And it's just a letter of support as well. I'd like us to send, and they're asking that we just support the suicide prevention hotline. Here it is. Thank you, Mr. Ogier, or staff.
I'll tell you one thing, Councillor Verbeek, I would definitely will support this. So I definitely support that.
I pulled these because they seem like things we would be supportive of as a council.
That's a good one to support. So I'll need a motion to receive and support. Councillor Bondi and Councillor Verbeek, all in favor of this one?
Question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Ogier, we've not seen this before. For some reason, I thought we had already supported this, but maybe it was at county council then.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the deputy mayor, we have seen variations of this letter from other municipalities from across the province. It might not have been Lakeshore specifically, but there have been
okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay, so
I'm in support too.
Okay, so Councillor Bondi, you're making a motion to support this?
I believe I'm supporting Councillor Verbeek, but I also want to say something else with it.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I believe this is, the 988 is something that we should receive and support Lakeshore's letter, but I'd also like us to write our own letter, because then we can have a kick at the can. Like, it's easy to support another municipality, but I would like to also ask for a friendly amendment, Councillor Verbeek, if we can also write our own letter and send off to all the municipalities as well.
Okay, that's good with Councillor Verbeek. Okay. So I need a seconder on, we had a seconder. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And the last one that jumped out and was 13.1.14. And it's just, I suppose they'll pull it up again. It's a letter requesting the government to support automated speed enforcement in municipalities. Now, of course, there's going to be a great deal of work, great deal of money involved with the municipalities that choose to adopt this. I'm not suggesting that we do, but I think that we should support them in their request in case we ever come to a point where we would consider it. It's fallout from all the excessive speeding and reckless driving, and it's just a request to be allowed to use the automatic speed enforcement in the municipalities.
This one here, Counselor Verbeek, I cannot support it. I can receive it, but I will not support this one. For the sole reason is you don't know who's driving that automobile when you get. So I don't think it's fair to the owner of the vehicle, and it affects your insurance. So I wouldn't support this. I just receive it, and that's it on my end anyway. So I'll leave it up to council.
We need a second to discuss that.
Sorry about that, Counselor. Okay, can I get a seconder?
No.
No, Counselor Bondi, you're going to second it? Counselor Bondi, you seconding this? Okay, so now we can go for discussion. You know how I feel, I just said. So anybody else want to comment on this one? Counselor Van Dolen, go ahead.
I'm going to support this. I think speeding has become quite a nightmare at least in my neighborhood. And I know that there's a lot of problems with this, but there's a lot of problems with speeding. I mean, the problem is that 90% of the people on the road are rocketing, and I don't see any other way to control it. So I'm going to support this.
I understand what you're saying, Counselor Van Dolen. It's not fair to the. And you know what? You'll be saying something different when you get your insurance premium, when somebody's driving your car 120 down in an 80, and all of a sudden your insurance goes sky high. And then what are you going to say? That's my problem. So no, I will not support it. And if you want to support, that's fine. Go ahead, Counselor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think if people borrowed my truck, I would make sure to tell them they better not speed. and if that happened a little bit, if word got out there that people were speeding, we have to get on the speeding. And anything that we can do right now, anybody driving any vehicle, if somebody's driving my truck, they better not be speeding, because that's my vehicle. If you let somebody drive your vehicle, you take that risk. So, all of my friends that drive my truck, they better not speed. And we just got to work on that. We have to get people not to speed. And this is one way we can do it.
Yeah, but Counselor Bondi, I can see what you're saying, but your insurance is not going to go up if it's somebody driving your truck. It's if a family member's driving your truck. Okay, a family member.
Point of order. Point of order. If you're going to make an argument, you need to pass the gavel.
No, I'm not making an argument. No, I'm not making an argument. I'm just making a point.
You are.
So,
you are.
Okay, Counselor. Okay, that's fine. Okay, any other questions? Counselor Verbeek, go ahead.
Okay, just that, the reason I was asking for support of just sending this letter from this municipality is if you read it, they're experiencing, like so many other municipalities across the province, as Councillor Van Dolen said, just this crazy excessive amount of speeding. And, if by sending the letter, it's not like we're going to adhere, but to be honest, if it ever did come around and the province said, okay, municipalities can do this, in a certain form, I would be fighting for us to do it in this municipality. Just even if it was another deterrent, if we said to our people, we have cameras out there that are enforceable now, and we're not telling you where they're at. But,
we kicked this around quite a bit. Okay, so we had a motion and we had a seconder. So the motion is to receive and receipt and support.
Yep.
So let's see a show of hands if you receipt and support it. Okay, that's carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moving into the other two under 13.2 for receipt and support. 13.2.1 is correspondence from Brian McGinty, dated June 2nd, 2021, proposing that the town of Essex install commercial viewing for receipt only or receipt and support.
Council, what's your desire on this one? Oh, Doug, did you want to speak on this? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to bring this up. This is a letter that was sent, felt it to be on correspondence, and because it's down at the Colchester Harbor area, wanted to bring it forward to council first, just looking for direction one way or the other. If you'd like to explore it, the next step would then, we would explore it and I would come back with options, but I wanted direction before we took that step.
Go ahead. I see you, Counselor. You got your hand up. You must be frozen or something. Counselor Van Endolen, you're muted. All right, we'll go, anybody else from council? Deputy Mayor Malash, go ahead.
I am definitely for this. We've talked about this in the past, and here's an opportunity. Somebody's coming along, willing to put this in our park for us. So I think this is a great opportunity. I'll move it if nobody else is going to move it.
Thank you. You move it, seconder on that?
Can I speak now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Sweet, do we already do business with this person who suggested this?
Here, Mr. Mayor, yes, he's one of the proponents of Vintage Grape, of the houseboats currently at the Colchester Harbor.
So we've got complaints about those boats. We've got complaints about golf carts moving illegally in the town. It looks to me like they're being used as a shuttle service between those boats and some of the STRs. So do we really want to rush into another business relationship with the same person who's got some issues elsewhere that we need to deal with?
Hey, thank you for your input there. Councillor Bondi, you had something?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I like the idea too. My question would be, would we have to go out to tender this? Like, can we just hand it to one person? Is this person making a profit? And if so, that might be something we have to tender. I'm not sure. And while we're at it, I also want to see a loonie press down there, you know, where you put the loonie in and it comes out with a picture of the Colchester Beach on it. But I like the concept. I just want to make sure that we're doing everything technically right.
Thank you, Councillor. Doug, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, and that's why he's bringing forward to council. This is being a third party. So we wouldn't have to put it out to tender. It's not something we're looking for as a town. Someone's bringing a business opportunity towards the town. But if we do want to move forward, I would look at a lease agreement because it'd be leasing part of our land where we get a percentage of the revenue, but it'd be up to this proponent to maintain them and everything. All they'd be doing is leasing space. But again, I'm just looking for direction because we'd have to explore all those options and I'd have to come back to council with an agreement if we got there.
So go ahead, Councillor Bjorkman.
Okay, so I move that we give direction to Mr. Sweet to speak with Mr. McGinty and work towards a plan.
Thanks, Councillor. So all in favor of that direction? Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
We vote? Sorry. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Lastly, for receipt and support under correspondence, 13.2.2 is correspondence from the town of Fort Erie in regards to capital gains tax on primary residence. That said correspondence be received or received and supported, and if council so chooses to support, that the appropriate letter of support be circulated.
Have a mover on this one, please, Councillor Bjorkman, and seconder, Deputy Mayor Malash. Any questions? All in favor? Carry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 14, committee meeting minutes, that all of the minutes listed in 14, together with any recommendation, be received, approved, then adopted as circulated.
Mover, please, Councillor Guerin. Seconder, Councillor Bowman. Any questions on, yeah, Councillor Bondi, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to touch base on the Coam Park and our town meeting with Amherstburg, has there been any action there? If I could ask, I don't know, maybe Mr. Sweet or Councillor Verbeek?
Go ahead, Doug, if you can answer that. Have we had a meeting with them yet?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think Councillor Bonnie's referring to a previous motion by council to set up a meeting with the town of McGregor or town of Amherstburg. I think our clerk has sent that letter. I'm not sure if the town has got back to us yet. On a side note, similar to that though, through the Coam Park Committee, myself and my peer there, the Director of Community Services, have met to start initial discussions on Coam Park in particular. So that part has discussed, but the larger picture that council directed, I don't believe they have got back to us yet, or a date has not been set if they have.
Thank
I'll
you.
let, okay.
Can I add to that?
Yeah, I'll
Worship?
let Chris go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Just to add a little bit further information to that, I've been working with the CAO from Amherstburg as well, because the request was to meet, but it encompasses more than just parks and recreation and community. We're talking about water and sewage, and we really got into the entire service discussion. So we're actually looking, we're bouncing letters back and forth and looking to determine that date when there would be a meeting between Essex and Amherstburg. So it's being worked on, I guess, behind the scenes, and looking to bring something to council shortly.
Did we have? In favor, please, of that report, please? On the minutes? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 15 under financial, 15.1 is the operating variance report as at March 31st, 2021. For receipt and through you, Mr. Mayor, we're going to go to our Director of Corporate Services, Jeffrey Morrison.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Through the chair. This is another report that we used to provide to council. We've been working at amending it, providing a little more relevant information. The finance group has been working on this over, I believe it was approximately a year. With COVID, it kind of paused things, but it's here for you now. So their support is a direct export from our budgeting system that we use. We set it up in a way that it would be easy to administer moving forward, and we distribute it to staff. Staff provides comments, as you can see, and that way council can review it and look at it as they please and get some relevant commentary to expenditures on the operating side throughout the year. Keep in mind though that there are certain entries and transactions that occur later in the year, in the third and fourth quarter. Some of those comments are provided. So the further in the year that this gets, the more relevant and complete the information will be. So we're planning on providing this to council quarterly. And this is for the first quarter. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions? Deputy Mayor Malash, go ahead.
Just want to mention that the comment column is a welcomed addition. It really helps out in jogging our minds to know why that variance exists. So thanks.
You're welcome.
On this report, please. Get a mover. Deputy Mayor Malash and Councillor Verbeek. All in favor? Carry.
Item 17 is notices of motion. The following notice of motion was first presented at the June 7th meeting and is being brought forward this evening for council's consideration. As moved by Councillor Bondy, that per resolution of council R2009-339, that children at play signs be installed within community areas such as parks, schools, and other institutions whose main purpose is to provide services to children, and that a children at play sign be installed on McAfee Street in Harrow at the entrance to the Harrow Fairgrounds and Arena. Once again, as moved by Councillor Bondy and would require a seconder.
Get a seconder on this one for Councillor Bondy, please. Deputy Mayor Malash. Go ahead, Councillor Bondi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's pretty self-explanatory. One of the OPP officers in the area was driving around and she told me that it's, you know, a place that, you know, should have children at play sign. Not that we want to encourage children to play on the road, but really what happens is the cars park all along the east by the fence and the splash pad and the park are on the other side. So families are crossing back and forth. And it's just, and people like to cruise down there. It's a cruising drive, you know, they bump their music and drive. So just a sign there, according to our policy, that children are there. So just asking for council support on that.
No, I agree with you 100% there, Councillor. I will support this. Any other discussion from council? All in favor of this request? It's carried. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that forward, Councillor Bondi. It's a good thing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 7.2, the following 4 notices of motion, 3 of which were added during of the published agenda this evening. The following 4 notices of motion are being presented only this evening and will be brought forward for council's July 5th meeting. The first notice of motion from Councillor Bondi, that council have a discussion regarding barbecues at Town of Essex parks to determine what is and what is not permitted. The second notice of motion from Councillor Bondi, that council direct administration to invest in facilities to provide water for dogs at the Harrow Soccer Complex in absence of a dog park in Harrow, as people are currently using the complex to walk their dogs. The third notice of motion from Councillor Verbeek, that at our July 5th meeting, council have a discussion and or give direction, if applicable, regarding the organics waste program that the Essex Windsor Solid Waste Authority is proposing. And the fourth notice of motion, again, just for presentment this evening, from Councillor Bondi, that council direct administration to install a turtle/snake crossing sign on Isla, and that the Youth Action Committee would make a $50 donation towards the cost of the sign. Item 18 now, reports and announcements from council members.
Bondi, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure everybody's heard about it, but it's good to keep talking about it. The Miracle Drive that's happening this Sunday. If we could keep promoting it, put your canned goods out on your porch. If anybody wants to volunteer, you can go to the Miracle online and register to volunteer. If you want to volunteer in Harrow, you could just contact me and I will set you up with either sorting or driving. And really, if you want to find out what to donate, sometimes it's nice to contact the agency that you're donating to, or the region, like the Harrow Food Bank or Project Hope. You know, everybody gives a lot of beans and pasta, but it's nice to mix it up and to give different things that families need and use. And remember to not give expired food. Give food you'd like to eat, not some canned good at the back of your cupboard that's all full of dust and 3 years old. So thank you.
Councillor Verbeek, you're next. Anything?
Actually, tonight, yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention that today is National Indigenous Peoples Day. It's a day for celebrate and honor the achievements and contributions of our First Nation, Inuit, and Métis people from across the province. And isn't it pretty significant that tonight was the first time we used the land acknowledgement that this council is going to be bringing forward. Thank you. We'll be doing for in the future.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Bowman, anything? Councillor Bjorkman, anything? Deputy Mayor Malash, anything? Councillor Guerin, anything? Councillor Vandendolen, anything?
Yes, thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I've had a few complaints, excuse me, from neighbors and constituents about the black caterpillar invasion, eating their oak trees and their black walnuts. And I didn't know what it was at first, but I found out that it's the gypsy moth, the gypsy moth caterpillar. We're on a cyclical invasion. And if you've noticed, it's eating the swamp whites, white oaks, red oaks, pin oaks, black walnuts, maybe a couple of others. It's denuded some areas on Concession Road 3. It's too late to do anything about it this year, but I'll be talking to some people and perhaps IRCA about maybe reinstating some spraying next year. You have to spray quite early in the year. And we've been through 5 or 6 of these in the past 20 years. But if you've got the caterpillar infestation, you've got a few acres of oak trees, contact me and I'll talk to you about maybe getting some spraying. Take care.
Thank you, Counselor. And I'll go right to Chris. Chris has a few things to talk about. Go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, Worship. I know this is I guess an odd place for me to comment, but I just wanted to take the time to acknowledge if Jeff, can you turn your monitor on? Thank you, sir. I want to take the time to acknowledge and thank our Director of Corporate Services, Jeff Morrison, for his efforts with the Town of Essex team for the past 9.5 years. As everybody is aware, Jeff is leaving and embarking on a new adventure in Alberta, and this will be his last council meeting with the Town of Essex. Jeff took over his current role from our former CAO, Don Hunter, and he has ensured the Town of Essex has continued the financial stability that we have grown accustomed to, and that has allowed for responsible growth and success within the Town of Essex. Jeff's support and creative mindset was key on many corporate projects over the years, and he leaves us with the opportunity to continue to be better. So on behalf of Town and Min, I want to thank you, Jeff, and wish you and your family good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jeff, for your service. You've been here a while and wish you all the best for your new venture.
Thanks. I will miss you all.
You made asset management cool.
That means a lot to me. I'll call you later and we can talk about it for hours.
Item 19 on the agenda is bylaws. Bylaw 2027 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings from the June 7th regular council meeting for third reading this evening.
Mover, please, on this bylaw. Councillor Bjorkman, and the seconder is Councillor Bowman. All in favor? Okay, thank you.
For three readings this evening, bylaw 2024 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2010 to being a bylaw to establish tax rates and additional charges for municipal, county, and education purposes for the year 2021.
Mover, please. Councillor Vanendel and Deputy Mayor Malash. All in favor? Carried.
2036 being a bylaw to require downspout disconnection in designated areas for the purpose of regulating stormwater drainage for three readings this evening.
Mover, please. Councillor Guerin. And a seconder, please. Councillor Bjorkman. All in favor? It's carried.
And bylaw 2037 for two readings this evening, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of this first regular meeting of council.
Mover, please. Mover on this one. Councillor Verbeek and Councillor Bjorkman. All in favor? It's carried. And before we adjourn, I think Lori wanted 2 or 3 minutes. Lori, are you there? Lori, did you wanted 2 or 3 minutes at the end of council or no? Oh, you didn't?
No, I think that was for the special
Okay.
meeting, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. So I need a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor Malash and Councillor Guerin. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. Have a great evening.